In a dictionary, sometimes words are related to each other. For instance, some words are synonyms. That means that they have a similar meaning. There is a way in Flex to indicate these kinds of relationships. Sometimes the term lexical relation is used to describe this kind of a relationship. Here we have a word that has two senses, and I'm going to focus on the sense one, that is big. We also have another word in the dictionary that also has a sense that means big. So let's link those two words. Now, synonym relates to the meaning of the word, so that means that that link has to be done at the sense level, because the sense level is what relates to the meaning. So let's come down to the sense section of this entry and notice that there's a field called lexical relations. If I click on that label, then the blue triangle appears, and that tells me that there's a menu inside that triangle. So I will click on that. Now at the bottom, I have the same commands that are normally available in any blue triangle for help and field visibility. But I also have a lot more options that are here specifically because this is the lexical relations field. Now notice that one of the options is to insert a synonyms relation, and that's what we want to do, so I will click that. This opens up a dialog box asking what word we want to link it to. So I will type the word that I want to link to, and here it shows me all the words that begin with that. In this case there's only one, but if there were homographs of this word or other words that started with that, it will show those as well. And then you would need to click on the one that you want to choose. Now, we're not ready to click yet. There are more things we need to look at. Step 2 says we need to select whether it's the entry or the sense that we're linking. Now, synonyms are defined to be a relationship between senses. So in this case, the choice is already made for us. The option for entry is not ticked, the option for specific sense is ticked. And then this control down here is also a menu. This triangle tells you that. If we click on it, then we can see both of the senses of the target word that we're trying to link to. And so we need to choose which of these senses we want. In this case, we want the first sense. Now, we're going to click the Add button. But let me first explain what Create would do. Create would make a brand new entry out of the word that I had typed there. Now the word already exists in the database, and I can see that here. So that tells me I don't want to click the Create button. So keep that in mind. Create here means create a new entry, whereas Add means add a reference. We want to add a synonym reference to the entry that we have selected. Okay, so now we are ready, so we will click Add, and now you can see up in the preview pane that it says it has a synonym. And then down in the sense, there's a new field called Synonyms that also lists the target word. It also shows the sense number and the gloss of that target word. Now up in the preview pane, notice that we also see the sense number, this digit 1. Now, many people don't want the sense number displayed in the formatted dictionary view, and that's quite normal. While you're working on building the dictionary, it can be really useful to have it there just to keep track of what you're doing and which sense it's pointing at. But when it comes time to publish, you'll want to hide that number, and there is a way to do that. We won't go into that now, but there is a way to hide the sense number. Now, if we want to go look at this other word, there's two ways to do it. I can come down here to the field, and if I right-click on this word, whenever there's any kind of a link, you can right-click on the word, and this option is to show the entry in the lexicon. So I will click that, and it takes me to the other word, and again, I see that the first sense has an antonym and a synonym. So here's the synonym link that we just created. Even though we were in the other entry, this link gets created in both entries. And that's normally true for most references. There is a way to make it appear in only one, but we won't go into that right now. Now notice that the antonym comes before the synonym, And if there were more than one antonym, all the antonyms would be together, and then all the synonyms would be together. But what if you want that in a different order? Well, we can configure that. Let's right-click on this abbreviation for antonym, and that gives us a chance to configure the dictionary view. That's a good way to get to the Configure Dictionary dialog. So I will click on that, and the Configure Dictionary dialog opens. Now, it has taken me to the node for the relation abbreviation. That's because I clicked on ant for antonym. So this is the relationship. Now, I really want to configure the whole set of all the LexRels, so I actually need to go up in the tree by one node. So keep in mind that when you right-click on an item, it will take you close to where you need to be, but sometimes you need to move up the tree a little bit to get to exactly the node you want to configure. Now notice, once I clicked on LexRels, over here on the right, there's a new control that we haven't seen before. This control is called the LexRel types list, and a more general term for this kind of control is options list. This occurs when there are relationships that can have more than one type. Now in this case, notice that antonym is there, and so is synonyms, and in this list they are in the same order but they appear in the word, and that's not by accident. And so if I want to change the order of them, I can click on synonyms, and I can use these green arrows over here to change the order. So let me click the green arrow to move it up, and I will move it all the way up past antonym. And now notice up in the preview, the order has changed. The synonym occurs before the antonym. And again, all synonyms would be together, and then all antonyms together. So this is a very powerful tool. Keep this in mind when you're working with any of the kinds of links that can have different types. So I will click OK. And now in the preview pane, you can see that the order has changed, and that's what we want it to look like. So that's a very basic introduction to using LexRels in Flex.